Hello and welcome to another episode from the Water's Edge, and today you catch up with us back out with Mr. Phil White. We're back aboard the Chinook and we're into the first fish of the day. I think we've got perhaps a bit of a mixed day today, but I think the main thing we're going to be targeting is going to be the Smoothound, and I'm pretty sure that's what I'm hooked into here. It absolutely tore off. I almost lost the rod. Phil said there, make sure the clutches were a bit loose, and this one had the butt off the floor, but he's not too far away now. Let's move round here, right at the back of the boat, but he's coming in now. Well, here we go. Phil just popped that hook out. First fish of the day, and what a way to start it. Lovely starry. I don't know, he's probably £5–6 perhaps, but I think we probably ought to give Phil a hand to get them rods back out. But yeah, it's lovely. We'll get him slipped back. So no sooner have we literally just put that first fish back, and the rod next door again has absolutely screamed off. It's one of them, literally turned around to bait up the rod what we just had that first fish on, and you literally just hear the clutch going. And yeah, another hard fighting Smoothound. As I said, with this shallow water, I think they've got nowhere to go other than out, and they absolutely tear off. But this one actually looks a little bit bigger. He's just coming up now. The water's actually relatively clear today, and yeah, it's nice seeing him come up through this clear water. So this one is definitely a lot bigger than the first one. What do you reckon? He's got to be nearing double figures, isn't he?
I think we're around about £10 with that one. Yep.
Yeah, and that is, well, this is the reason why we come down here with Phil this time of year, get out on these grounds, and yeah, enjoy some fantastic fishing. That is one way to release him. It's an unbelievable day out here. I don't think you could ask for a calmer day. I think temperatures are forecast to be over 30 degrees, and yeah, it is all going to plan so far. But this one's not far away now at all. I'm not seeing him yet, but just see that lead coming up. Yeah, and he's another nice fish. Very nice fish.
Yeah, see him, Chris?
A better fish. You can see that reel. He's absolutely tearing off. It's been a while now. It's been probably, I don't know, a couple of years, I think, since our last Smoothound video out here with Phil, and you sort of forget a little bit just how hard they fight. And I think we've not been fishing long, I am already sweating. Well, that is an absolute beast of a hound, as I was saying, and this is the reason why we come down here. And yeah, brilliant fishing. Such a fantastic sport fish. You know, they've got to be one of the, if not the hardest fighting fish in the UK waters. And that is an absolute crack. We might just pop her on the scales just to see what she weighs. But yeah, absolutely love it. We'll get her back. So after a rather hectic first hour on the Chinook, things have just quietened off ever so slightly, and Phil was saying where we are at the moment on this shallower ground, he said you get quite often the fish come through real short bursts and then they sort of push out into some slightly deeper water. So it's been a little bit quiet, but I think what we're going to do is we're probably going to have a bit of a move in a minute and sort of try and follow the fish out, and sort of, it's almost sort of cat and mouse, he was saying, keeping up with them and yeah, and try to follow what they're up to. But while it has quietened off a little bit, it's a good time just to talk you through what we're using today. And we've been out with Phil loads of times and you've probably seen the videos, but if you haven't, I just thought I'd talk you through so you know what sort of stuff we're using if you're out boat fishing or if you're coming out with Phil. So it's a 18 to 25 pound class boat rod and a fixed spool reel, and you know, these are just super easy to use. So you know, if you put off and you're not confident with multipliers, fixed spools you can't go wrong, and that is loaded with around 20 pound mono, I think. And then down to the business end, really couldn't get much simpler than what we've got, and that is we've got just a run and trace. We've got 8 ounces of lead on there and a zip slider, and that can just free run up and down your mono. 2 buffer beads just to protect the knot, a big strong swivel, and then a clip. And this clip here basically is what your hook link attaches to. It just allows you to unclip, so if you get a fish in the boat and it's thrashing around, you can unclip that and the lead's not gonna swing around and hurt you. And then we've probably got, I don't know, 3 foot hook length, something like that, and then that then comes down to a strong, sharp size 3 4/0 hook. And then all we're doing bait wise today, we're starting off, we've got a mixture of stuff with us, but for the hounds, we're simply using a single ragworm, slide that, just pop it over the knot, and then take one of the hermits, and you're sort of weaving it on, go through perhaps 2-3 times, make sure plenty of hook pointers showing, and yeah, that's what's been working so far. So we'll get this one back out there, give it another 5-10 minutes here, and then I think we'll be on the move.
Well, I normally have to wait a little bit longer before Chris lets me have a go, but it's been an absolute mental morning in the fact that between Chris and Phil trying to keep enough rods in the water and me filming, we didn't have enough hands. So Chris has said that he's had his fair share, and I think actually he mentioned that the bigger one he had earlier was the biggest smoothhound he's had. I know last time we came out I managed to luck one about 20 pounds at the end, but that one at sort of 18 pound was a mega fish to see, and having not seen him for a couple of years, it's brings it all back to you, and they don't half pull in this relatively shallow water.
About 8 foot deeper now.
8 foot,
Yeah.
yeah.
Under the boat, yeah.
It's crazy really, isn't it? Like, you'd expect it to be so much deeper, but that's why they go on these absolute mental runs.
And we got it.
It's like shark wrestling.
We're on, mate.
I'm not yet. Right, ready?
Had your ear up.
Right, I'm going to wrestle him hard. Right, there we go. They are so powerful. A little bit of shark wrestling there. But you can see why they give you them runs. They are mental fish. And Phil said, like, only in 8 foot of water, it really does surprise you to actually get something to pull so hard. And I don't think we're going to get a better day than this. The sun is so hot, plenty of action, and I'm sure there's more to come. So we'll get it slipped back and get some more baits out there. Whee. That's gone. So we've just upped anchor away from our first fishing spot, a real hectic morning. And just before we get to the next spot, Phil, as luckily, he's let us pull one of his crab pots. And this is quite interesting, Phil, actually. So this is probably why, I'm guessing, a lot of these fish are around, yeah, is because there's a lot of crab. What have we got in here? We've got
we've got a bit of everything
crabs.
there. We've got the crabs there. There's probably 1-2 swimmer crabs there if we route through this lot. But yeah, so we've got some lovely hermits there, all sorts of sizes, little ones. We've got the whelks in there as well.
Yeah.
All sorts of whelks.
There is a real mixture of size in it. And actually, am I right in thinking that this shell here is empty? So am I right in thinking they'll come out of the shells to perhaps find a bigger one?
To find a big one.
And is that when these fish are eating them?
That's when they're after them. Yep. So when they're in sort of looking for a new home, yes.
Yeah, I mean it would be a mega crunch to get through that, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's
bit
right.
of
Yeah, they haven't got any
opportunities.
teeth.
But it is good, and you can see why there is so many fish here. So we'll sort through these because the whelks are no good.
Yep. We're not
Perhaps
using the
rebait
whelks.
your pots, and then we'll get onto the fishing.
That's it, mate. Yep.
Spot on.
Great.
this one absolutely roared off. I thought we'd have definitely had the rod over the side had that drag not have been set. Like Phil was saying, just got it set just loose enough so it can pull line if it really wants to run. But yeah, he is really digging away.
I think this was a skate on this one.
Yeah.
That way, I think, yeah, just that gentle nod.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a different bite on that.
Yeah, I think it's what it is, Chris. Yeah.
We were literally watching the rods. We had a little different knock on the rod behind me, which Phil is now hooked up on, which we're perhaps thinking was a ray, slightly different bite. And then while we're looking at that, I say this one's absolutely torn off. But I'm making a bit of ground on him now. He felt really weighty to start with when I first hooked into him. Let's see what we've got. Well, we said, Phil, you said you called it, a bit more variation perhaps over this ground, and yeah, nice little form back.
Yeah, I think we'll see some more as the tide gets going a bit. That'll get the fish feeding, and hopefully we might even get a bass as well.
Yeah, nice. And another nice sized Thames Estuary smoothie.
Yeah, another female there, it's another starry again, so yeah.
Pretty markings, haven't they?
7-8 pounds, beautiful fish.
Lovely fish.
Yes.
Right, let's get them both back, get some more baits in the water.
Great stuff.
Well, it really is kicking off now. And for the third time, well, in the space of 10 minutes, 8 minutes, whatever it has been, we have got another double hookup going on. I don't think this one here is massive. He's had a few sort of angry runs, but they don't feel the weight trim as what there has been some of the others. But yeah, Phil's just behind me, form back on that side as well. Another. Phil's now bringing him aboard. I'm making a bit of ground on this one. As I say, I don't think he doesn't feel the heaviest today, so I think it's probably a similar size to the ones we've had. Yeah, he is. He's probably one of the smaller ones. Well, I think that's the case, a deja vu that. Another little smoothie.
Yep.
Another little
skate there.
back.
Yeah, little male this time, the female last time, but yeah, good to see them. They're all just moving back inshore now. These fish, because these fish weren't here a couple of weeks ago.
Weren't they?
No, they're just starting to move back in again now, which is good. Gives us a bit of variety in the summer.
Yeah, definitely. We'll get these back.
Great stuff.
Well, just taking a break out of the rather hectic fishing, and I say hectic is probably an understatement. Since we've moved, we've had double shots, we've had 3 rods going, 4 rods going, and yeah, a couple of form back, plenty of smoothhound. But just take a little minute out and just a couple of real simple things, I guess. But the first one is I'm going to put some more sun cream on, and yeah, it may sound obvious, but when you're out in a boat like this and it is as baking hot as what it is today, you have really got to be careful and yeah, make sure you apply plenty of it, because especially when you get a little sort of sea breeze, what we've had crop up in probably the last hour, you sort of don't feel that real power of the sun, and before you know it, you're going to be burnt to a crisp and, you know, risk sunstroke or something like that. And you'll certainly feel it when you get back inshore tonight. But yeah, apply plenty of that. I already put a little bit on my neck, around my face, your key areas obviously. And the second thing, big bottle of drink. Banged this in the freezer last night, nice and cold, and just keep the fluids up. And when you're hauling like we are today, you do need to. Well, a little bit of a different bite on this one, to be honest with you. It was a bit more of a sort of sharp pull down, but on this I didn't actually bother with any crab when I put it out. We come up to this different bit of ground and Phil said there was definitely a good chance of a bass or two, so just went with a couple of ragworm and yeah, banged it out the back of the boat, and it's nodding away quite nicely in the tide. So it's not had any real fierce runs, so I don't think it's a smoothhound. So yeah, so fingers crossed we might have the third species of the day to show you. That was the plan anyway, but it's just hanging at the back of the boat. They sort of fight a lot different. They sort of more, you know, thump the head a lot more rather than the big, long, powerful runs of the smoothhound. We're in a bit deeper water as well, so they got a bit more depth to sort of dig down into. But what is it? We're going to be getting a bit of colour in a minute. And that is a nice bass. I'll let Phil get the net. What an absolutely lovely surprise that is. We said it coming out to this ground, Phil called it. He said there was a real chance of an absolute mixture of fish, and well, we've had smoothhound, thornbacks, and now this bass, and what a lovely fish that is. And I guess you could say, Phil, we have had the Thames Estuary Grand Slam. We've had all three, but that is an absolute cracker. But yeah, we'll get him slipped back.
So I'm just taking a quick break with Chris inside the cabin out of the sun. It is baking out there. But as a non-hardened sea angler, if you follow our channel, you probably know it's more match fishing and carp fishing for me. There's one thing I want to touch on when it comes to boat fishing, because there's so many people I know, and there must be loads of people out there who would love to experience boat fishing, but they suffer with seasickness. Now, I also suffer with seasickness, but this is probably my 5th, 6th time out with Phil, and I have never ever felt rough. And I think that's probably due to the fact that the waters around here where Phil fishes are really sheltered. So if you do something seasick and you fancy a go, contact Phil on Facebook. Make sure you pick a calm day, but even on a non-calm day we've been out and I haven't felt it. There's a lot of land surrounding it, and Phil will tuck you away somewhere where it's nice and calm, and it gives you access to people who've said, I can't go, I can't go. I've even brought someone once and they also suffered from it and they weren't seasick. So potentially an access. But a couple of quick points if you do. I always do this, even though I've never been ill. I'll take a couple of quells, seasick tablets, anything you want. I think they're probably a placebo effect. And then one thing I found really good, ginger nuts. They taste good, but there's someone told me once, keep munching on it if you ever feel a bit iffy, a couple of ginger nuts brings you around, and honestly, I think it does work. So just a pointer there, if you've never been on for that fear of being seasick, I was the same. It took Chris ages for me to come out on here, so it's worth giving Phil a call because you're missing out on some special fishing if not. So as we draw slightly towards the end of the day, I thought I'd have one more go and see if I could catch myself another fish. We had a smoothhound earlier, but after we've moved to this spot and Chris had that bass, this bite looked very much sort of a rattle rather than a smoothhound charging away with it. So I'm kind of hoping that as a last chance for me, I'll put a bass on the cards as well. But he's coming up close now, so I'm going to concentrate on getting him in, and hopefully we'll have a fish to show you.
Very nice. We've got him there. That's a nice one, guys.
Well, what a mega result that is. Definitely the biggest bass I've ever caught. I don't do much sea fishing, so to come out and catch that is pretty special. But it's time to get behind the camera, and there's that famous song, isn't there, Chris, that anything you can do, I can do better. So I'll take that one. Definitely a PB for me. I'll slip him back and we'll let Chris have one last go.
Well, we're into another fish. Not 100% sure what it could be, to be honest with you. It's certainly going well in this tide. The tide's really picked up now and it's really fierce. So I think what we're going to probably do is we're going to call this the last fish, so we'll end on this. But what a fantastic day we've had out here. We've had an absolute mixture of species, and yeah, we've been blessed with unbelievable weather, and yeah, it sure beats being in the office. Just pump and wind, bring him up. We're now on the leader, so well, we'll end the day as we started with another fine Thames Estuary Smoothound. Action's pretty much been non-stop all day, all manner of species, all manner of sizes, and in some glorious, glorious British summertime weather. So one man to thank for that. Just to say a big thanks to Phil for having us again, putting us on the fish, letting us on board, and yeah, I'll pop all his details below. So if you do fancy a trip, fancy coming out here and having a go for some of these fish, then yeah, get in contact with him. But as always, thanks for watching, be lucky, and we'll see you again on the next one.